Okay, so today's sessions we will be discussing about jobs and various passes that is already discussed, and we will create about the process, forms, process, and job, and how we can interlink those things. But before that, I want some recap of the session because Atanu was not there in the last class, and Ranjan, who has already done it, it will be a recap for him. So
Okay.
at first, we have created one form. We have learned how to create a form.
Yeah.
Like in every package, we have a form folder. In that form folder, we can create a form, like create folder as a form, new form. Then we can create those form. Now, in the form, how we can customize our screen that we have seen. Okay, so that we have seen the how we can customize the screen for the user creations. So in the form of the attribute sections, we can customize those attributes, and using the tab, using the column name, using various lines, we can just configure our form, and which is like uh, mandatory field, which is not a mandatory field, which is required, which is not required. That everything that we can configure over here in the attribute section. In the access control sections, we can basically configure the access of the users who can access this form, right? I have added this role. Whoever having access of this role, they only can access to this user creation form, which is now created.
Okay.
Okay, and in the result handling tab, from here we can link a process to this form, so that after submissions of the form, we can trigger that corresponding process for our next step. So what we have done in this form, that every yesterday or maybe in the previous some classes, I have told that in the here, when we create a user more than 12 characters, it will not, the SAP systems will not take more than 12 characters. But in IDM, there is no restrictions. I can create whatever I want. If it is in capital letter, small letter, whatever I want, I can create. But SAP system, user ID always getting created in the capital letter and 12 character. For some Java systems, it will create as a small letter and more than 12 character. But the same ID, when you will come to the SAP system, it will create as a capital letter and the 12 character. So if you create the user in a small letter or more than 12 character, what will happen? In SAP systems, when the ID is getting created, it will be capital letter and 12 character. So in future, if you do any kind of synchronization activity between IDM and the backend system, you cannot do that, because the IDM ID and SAP ID will be different. System cannot identify that thing. So what we can do, we can create the user in IDM less than or equals to 12 character, and those ID will be in the capital. Now, suppose you have 4 or 5 members in your team. So you told the rule that okay, ID should be capital or ID should be less than equals to 12 character, but you cannot be sure that everybody will follow the same. Nobody will make any kind of mistake. You cannot say that. You cannot guarantee that. Right. So we have to do something so that whatever we will do, whatever the ID will be created, that restriction, that two conditions, that should be applied, right?
Yeah.
So our user ID is, what is the attribute of the user ID? The attribute of that user ID is MSK value, right? MSK value is user ID or unique identifier of anything. So in that MSK value, there is a validation, and here in the validation field, you will get one minimum length and maximum length. If you restrict that user ID into 12 characters, the maximum length is 12 character, definitely the user will be created as a 12 character. But problem will be, this MSK value is linked to it not only user ID but also privilege, role, those things. So what will happen when you will create a role or when you will create a privilege? Those things will not be created. Privilege is nothing but the PFCG role, right?
Yeah.
So PFCG role, definitely they are having more than 12 characters. So what will happen? That roles will not be created. Are you getting my point?
Yeah. Yeah.
So role, Samrat, one question here. So the roles are already created in SAP, right? So
It's already, no, roles are not already created in SAP.
the PFCG roles, we are just importing, right?
You are importing. So if you new roles, when the PFCGs are getting created and you are trying to import, will it be import?
Okay. So the MX key value will not suffice, right? Here we have a restriction of 12 characters.
If we put here the 12 characters restriction, if we,
so we get some issues during import.
yes.
Okay.
So that is why we will not put these 12 characters things over here. Okay. So what is the alternative? In alternative, we can create one custom attribute. One custom attribute, and that custom attribute I link with only MS person. And in that custom attribute, the same just copy from this MSK value. I created this custom attribute and I added that custom attribute with the MX person only, not any other thing. And I put there the restrictions is minimum length is 12 characters, minimum length I have given the 4 characters and maximum length is 12 characters. So, and I put that custom attribute inside the form. Instead of MSK value, standard one, I put this custom ZMSK value, this custom attribute. So whenever I will put some character over here and first name this and last name this, whatever the first name, last name, I put this character over here and trying to submit, it will set that custom attribute at least 4 character and no longer than 12 characters. So it will not allow you to submit because it has more than 12 characters. You got my point?
Yes.
Now, I created the user ID with this custom attribute, not the original MSK value attribute. So I have to put this value into MSK value somehow.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that ID will not be created properly. So you cannot find that ID over here. In this area, you cannot find that ID. Okay. As an MSK value, as an unique identifier, the original one, you cannot find that ID. Okay, so the first issue of 12 characters is solved now. Correct? That
Yeah.
I cannot submit any form during the user creation. I cannot submit any form which is more than 12 characters. Second, suppose I created the less than 12 characters, but user ID is something like small letter. If I submit, it will submit. Okay, if I submit, it will definitely submit. Now, what will happen? The ID will be small letters ID. So now what I have to do, something that I have to do, I have to create something so that whatever I will submit over here, the original ID definitely created in a capital letter, right? So let's see this test underscore user 01. Okay, test user 06. I'm giving this name. Now one thing I want to show you, when I submit that identify submitted created, okay, this is created, but you have noticed I just gave the first name, last name. I have not given any password. So in order to create the user, if by mistake you don't provide any password, what will happen? The ID will be created in IDM. But whenever you will provide a role for the backend systems, it will not provide because the password is not present. And in backend system, password is a mandatory field. Password has to be present in order to create the user in the backend system. So whenever you will create a form, your password field must be a mandatory field. You should make a password as a mandatory field. What happened?
Middle one, I think.
This one, but it was not taken. Why is it not taken? Oh, I am not. So let me check out. Okay. So make sure that password is mandatory field so that by mistake, even by mistake.
Middle one, right? Mandatory.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Middle one is mandatory. This is the read only. So make sure this password is I put this password as a mandatory field so that even by mistake you should not miss the password field. If you just click on this one, here also you have to maintain the password. Okay, whenever you will create the user ID. So what I have done, I created one user ID. If you check the user ID, test underscore user 01, you trace the user ID, even though this field is coming, I put it as a small, but it comes as a capital letter over here. Okay, as a capital letter over here, the ID came up like this. So how this came? For that reason, now discuss about the process. I created one process, custom attribute creation. I created one process where I will update those attributes. And here I have used two identity store paths. Two identity store paths. In the source, I don't have to put anything because the data already will be coming from this form. Go to the destination. What you will see, through a custom job, through a custom script, I passed my custom value, that is z underscore ms key, which I have put it over here. Through this custom SQL script, the script basically, if you go to the script area, this script is basically giving you the upper character. This user ID I am passing. What is the par? Par means parameter. Value I am passing. So what is the value I am passing? That z underscore ms key value. And in ms key value, that is the original ID, I am putting that user ID dot to uppercase. That means I am whatever passing over here, that will be going to be the upper character and update this ms key value. So I am doing that. Okay. Next, the display name. During the user creation, have I put the display name? I didn't put the display name. I put the first name and last name only. And I wanted that using that first name, last name, display name will be appeared. Like this, display name will be appeared. So what I did, I put display name, just percentile first name space percentile last name percentile. So along with the, I added the first name, last name and created a display name. And I wanted that in the settings field, these are the fields, whenever I will create the user ID, whatever be the user ID I will create, this output device time zone will be updated automatically. Then what I have to do? I have to put this value in this field. Time zone, the printer settings, I have put it so that whenever I will create this user, only the first name and last name, and I don't want, during the user creations, I don't want display name should be present. Let's save it. Let's refresh it. So display name, that is gone. And I want in this original ms key value, the first name, last name should be coming. So ms underscore first name percentile here mx underscore last name percentile. Okay, first name, last name also I have updated, display name I have updated, time zone, these things will be updated. So let's save it. Now what I am doing, I am trying to create an user called user test underscore user 02. The display name I am putting test, here the last name is user 02. Okay, now whenever I am trying to submit, it will, that password has to be present. Last time when I created that user, the password was not present. So if you make that password field mandatory, you have to make the password field. So I am putting the password. I am putting the password and now save it. So once I save it, it will trigger. It will trigger that process. So the process, if you go to the log, if you go to the log, this attribute value is updated. This today's date, it is updated. This is the latest one. So if you go back to the your UI, see these things is created. Your user ID, first name, last name, this ID is created. These values is updated. Go to the attribute sections. The password field is not showing over here, but password is updated. And along with this, that capital letter, all the things are created as a capital letter. All the things are created as a display name. The first name this, last name this. Everything is updated. Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
Now the question is, I have created this process. So how, when I submit this form, how this process triggered? The process is triggered from this result handling tab. Execute process on submit. I selected this process. So whenever I submit the form, just click on submit. Whenever I have submitted the form, it will trigger this process. This is how we can link a form with a process. Okay. Now the next, what I have discussed, that in the process we have, let's close all the fields. In the process, this is the process, and in the process we have the multiple tasks. Approval task and attested task we will discuss later during our approval workflow scenario. But normally in action task, wait task, switch task and conditional task we use for our purposes. And switch task, conditional task, wait task are used for our switch means it will switch the activity. Our process, we have a end start node and we have a end node. So within start node, end node, we can do the multiple action, multiple activity. This switch at condition will allow you to which way it will go. Okay, to which way it will go. For example, let me create a new process. If I add a conditional task over here, what is that? There is a true option and there is a false option. So here you can put a condition in this conditional task. During your SQL query, you can put a condition, and based on your condition, the system will follow the path. Suppose you have a true path, the condition is fulfilled, it will go to the true path. If the condition is not fulfilled, it will go to the false path. Okay. If you have a switch task, the switch task is almost similar to the conditional task, but the difference only is switch task can have the multiple path added. So conditional task you have only true or false, but switch task you have the multiple paths to follow. Okay. For example, if the result of the switch task, suppose based on your company code, you are doing some activity for like this. Based on your company code, your this time zone is getting changed, right? So if you are in US, you must be in US company, US time zone. If you are in UK, your company code will be UK. If you are at Australia, your company time zone will be Australia. So based on your time zone, based on your company code, your time zone will be changed. Your number format will be changed. Your date format will be changed. So in order to update those number format, in order to update your date format, you have to switch the task based on your company code. Suppose company code is output is UK. Here if you select, you have to give a rename process. Let's save it. And you have to, the rename process, have to rename the case. If you, instead of this, if your company code is suppose US01, so in the output of this query, if give you US01, it will come in this way. You can have another output. Okay, if this output is your UK01, then it will go to this way. But as I told, the conditional task is doing only two way, either true or false, but the switch task can have multiple ways. But what I told that it will do the update of this time zone, time format, date format, everything. So in order to update those things, any kind of update in terms of users attribute, you have to have this action task. This is called action task. So condition, switch, wait, these are the tasks which basically rerouting your path, whether it will go to this way or it will go to that way, whether this will go to this way or it will go to that way or another way. But the ultimate update of attributes will be done through the action task. This part is clear? What is the three this path function? Now in the action task, if you open our action task, you will see here is the pass, script, constant, variable. In the passes, basically, perhaps you have noticed the existing action task. This is one action task. By seeing the logo, you can understand this is an action task. In the action task, I use the pass is to identity store. That means I am updating the data in IDM. That is why I use to identity store. And these are the corresponding attributes that I have updated. Okay. Any confusion?
No.
So in the action task, when you define the switch, so is that action task applicable for all the switch cases, or it's default for the first one? I mean, from the diagram, I'm just confused.
Yes, tell me.
In the switch case, which switch task, for US01, it's directly going to the final result, but for UK01, we have the action task. So
Yeah, US also you have to put the action task.
okay, so whenever we go for multiple conditions, we have to go for different action task.
Different action, because based on this switch, you are following some action, right?
Okay.
If you open this action task, create a new identity store, two identity store pass. In that two identity store pass, you are putting some attributes and the corresponding value, same like the existing one, right?
Okay.
So for example, here the attribute will be MSK value, and then the time zone will be, suppose for UK it will be GMT UK.
Okay,
But
so here
when
the entry type will be MSK value or ZMSK value, because
no, here entity type will be MSK value. Everything will be based on the MSK value. But ZMSK value I only did for the user creations only.
okay,
Only I have done for the user creations in order to keep those restrictions.
okay, yeah, got it.
In order to keep that restriction, not any other thing.
Okay,
Are you getting my point?
yes,
Not any other thing. I just keep the restrictions of 12 characters as well as the capital letters. Okay. So after that, everything will be updated based on the company MSK value, not ZMSK value. Okay. So now in the sorry, close this thing. Switch. Close. Close. There are a lot of things are opened, so let's close it. So now in the action task, you will see there are various from passes and various to passes. Okay. So in the action task area, for in the process, within a process we have action task. That is fine.
Yeah.
Now you can understand, right? In the process we have an action task,
yes,
and in action task we have pass. But there is one thing, we have multiple pass we can add, but only one pass will be active in one action task.
right, yeah,
Multiple pass cannot be active in one action task. Only one pass will be active in one action task. Correct? So
Yeah.
from ASCII file means I am taking some data from your local source. From custom means I am taking the data from our SAP system. From database means I am taking the data from database. From generic means I am taking the data from generic. Generic means it can be your customly created file. It can be something else which is not provided by these three sources. It might be some other sources. It might be your, but LDAP directory, it is mostly for the Active Directory part. And two passes is just I am sending the data to ASCII file, sending the data to SAP system, that is to custom, sending the data to database. If I am updating something directly in the database level, I will use this to database. Sending the data to generic, that means apart from these three, if I need to something to follow, we use this to generic pass. And then to identity store, which is if I updating something on to SAP to IDM, whatever I am updating, if it is updating over here, that will be to generic path. Sorry, to identity store path. Correct. So during the job creations, we will see some of the field over here. Now coming to the job section. So in the job, I don't think there are a new job is created. So in the job, I am creating one job. So here you can see, this is the job. Here I am writing a custom job. So in the action task, you also have the pass, script, constant variable. Script, you must see that how I have used a script over here, right? In this area. You have seen that script is available over here, and using that script, how I passes the value, right? This is the way we can pass the script over here, and we can pass the value. So in the action task also you can see pass, script, constant and variable. But in the job also you will see there is a pass, script, constant, variable. Then what is the difference between this action task and the job? The job can contain multiple passes at a time, but action task contain only one pass. One action task can contain only one pass, but one job can contain multiple passes. And here you will see one run job option. That means this job can be run independently, but the passes cannot be run independently. Even if you see the property of the passes, this is the pass property. You will see general tab, result handling tab, logon, and state documentation. Here result handling tab also there in order to trigger this pass from some another pass, or from this pass to another process. Sorry, not pass, it's process. But if you go to the custom job, these job sections, you will see there is a scheduled rule. So you can schedule the job for your purpose. Suppose your job is to send you one report on your month first or the week first. So you can schedule that job on the month first. What will happen on the month first itself? System automatically trigger this job. Okay, system automatically trigger this job. You don't need to sit on month first to trigger this job and get this report. Automatically trigger the job. It will extract the report. It will send you the report if you configure in this way. So job is an independent thing, but pass or task is not an independent thing. It is within a process, and process is also not independent thing. It will trigger by some form or by some another process. It is a runtime activity. Whenever some attributes are getting updated, whenever some values are getting updated in the system, then only process will trigger. Is that clear about the process, jobs and passes? Any question, please let me know.
One question on that.
Yeah.
So you are creating these custom processes, right? So do we have standard processes delivered by SAP?
Yes, there are a lot of standard processes are there. Okay, suppose this ABAP creation, if you go to the user creation process, the creations of the user in the ABAP systems, here these processes are all the standard processes. It is already provided by SAP. Okay, now if you go to the default section, default form which is there, the standard default form is present. Standard user creation form is present. So in this standard user creation form, you can create this user ID, the standard. Here you can see the MS key value is present, salutation, first name, last name, display name, whatever the values are there, that are present over here. So you already have a standard thing that you can use. But there are something that you need to follow. For example, that the example that I told for 12 characters restriction or the upper cases restriction. In that cases, you cannot simply follow the standard process. You have to do something by your own so that we can put all those restrictions into the system. And for that reason, we have to use the custom one.
Okay.
Standard already there. You can go to here, click on create. You will get one the identity. Here you have a user creation, and here also custom form here as a user creation. Because this is the standard one under identity folder. You create identity is the standard one, and here in the custom package you will see under the custom folder jet create identity is the custom one. So that is why you will see both the folder. You can see if you use this one, it will be your standard unique ID, that is the MS key value, first name, last name, display name. These are the some standard form. But here it is the custom one. I do not need that display name here because I want a display name will be generated through the first name or last name. I want that it will be the character will be less than or equals to 12. So I need to have some restriction to follow. So I am doing that. So that is the reason I created a custom one.
Okay, so just one request. So
yeah,
can you quickly show me using the standard SAP delivered processes, forms, tasks, jobs, how can we ensure that a create user thing is working in IDM? I mean, just a quick recap maybe for me because I missed one session.
Yes. So basically the standard one you can create by your own. Okay. So here also, if you suppose this is the standard one, here if you create the user like this, suppose test user 10, first name is test, is user 10, display name, here you have to mention the display name as well.
For coming here, see, after the data load happens, right? So after your system is configured. So now, as a first task I need to do is I need to create some user manually. There is no workflow and all. There is no HR system, automation, and something like that. So from the IDM system, I'll request one user ID to be created, and that will be created. So that is what I want to do. But to come here, I think there are some configuration needs to be done. If I'm using the standard forms and the processes and the jobs.
Yes.
So that information Okay.
Just give me 1 minute. I'm coming back.
Sure.
Apollo, one thing actually, the Eclipse Oxygen is not working. You have to install Neon.
Oh, okay.
What I'll do, I will do one thing. I'll copy on your desktop the Neon. You can use it. I already downloaded it.
So Neon is the latest one or Oxygen?
No, this is the old one. Neon is the old one. Everything is working, but the job log is jobs are not working in the Oxygen Eclipse.
Jobs are not working or the logs are not coming?
Yeah, no, we are unable
logs are basically logs are not coming.
The logs.
Okay.
Those are generated, but we are unable to retrieve. If it is a Neon, then it's working fine.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
So for the standard one, let me close all the things on the right side. So for the standard one, what we have to do, we have to import the standard packages. And I'm not sure whether you were in the class that there is an import sequence as well.
Yeah. I was there in those classes. Yeah.
Okay, so import sequence was there. and you need to have one user ID in order to access Eclipse and UI.
Yeah.
That is also you are done.
Mhm.
So once you import the standard packages, you will automatically get all those things. You must be having all those tabs access, and once you have the tab access, after importing these things into your system, you will automatically get all the standardized things. You just click on create, click on identity, click on create user, create identity, you will automatically get this option. You don't have to do any kind of settings over here.
What about the provisioning?
Provisioning part for the user
Though
provisioning.
we have not come there, I'm just
Yes.
asking whether by using the standard after installation with all necessary pre-configuration, can we use the standard provisioning framework to?
Yes, definitely we can use the standard provisioning framework, but in order to assign that roles and privilege, we have to give these privileges over here. Privilege is nothing but the PFCG. In order to give this privilege, the privilege has to be present over here.
We need to pull those data.
We need to pull those data. We need to pull those data through this initial. There is a standard load. There is a standard job is present under the above. This is called initial load job. So initial load job, if you click on the property, that's another thing that I have to discuss. Yesterday I have discussed a little bit.
Okay.
The
Another
class
thing,
I uploaded into the Google Drive.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this perhaps you have noticed one thing as well. During when I have created this job, you can see there are two types of job. One is job, that is normal job. One is repository job. So these are the repositories job. This is a repository job, initial load job, already the standard provided by SAP. In this job, we have the various passes. Through all these passes, when you run on, if you click on the property, you will see there are various repository names. Although I have not created, there is no repository is created. Repository is nothing but the system, above system. Okay. So once we create the repository, we can create the repository in the admin portal. So I will be coming that one in the later section. System configurations, I have to above specific application server, I have this system. So if you go to the specific application server and click on the property, you will have this repository name. Okay. So you can run this
So it
job.
will automatically come if you.
It will automatically come. It will automatically come.
Okay.
So if you run this.
So this RVC 100 is nothing but a SID, right? SID and the flag.
Nothing but the SID. That the same name which is created over here. Normally the SID, the repository name is created along with the name of the system and the client.
Okay.
Okay.
So do we have access to this ACC system as well?
Yes, we have access.
Okay.
Since I have not gone into that SAP systems, so I have not configured those things. So once you go over here, you will have a run job option. If you click on run job, you will get the system and click on OK. The initial load job will done. Initial load, once the initial load job will done, all the SAP systems roles and privileges, whatever is present, that will be coming into IDM. And once it will come into IDM, for a new user creations, you can give this access to privilege sections. You can give this access. Okay. And once you give this access, just add and click on submit. So how this access will be done, how it will trigger. So those things we will be discussing during the job privileges property. From that property, it will automatically trigger. In the above sections, you will have that process. that create process, modify process, this process, these are the standard process. Using the standard process, these things will automatically trigger.
Okay.
Okay, we don't have to do any kind of customization. If you do not have any kind of restrictions in your company, the standard process will do your I can say your 90% of job.
Okay. So was it there in the 7.1?
Yes, it was. The standard
process.
things was there, but the structure of 7.2 or 7.1 and 8 is completely different. That is why you might not be the correlate those things, but it was there in the above section. It was that plugins and everything, those things are there. This in 7.1, if you can remember that 7.1, there is a complete flow like this.
Correct.
Right, but here we have a separate package based. So from here it will trigger somewhere, from there it will trigger somewhere. If it is a trigger option, like for provision or user creation, it is a trigger option is there. So just clicking on the provisions, you will see the multiple things. For user creations, it will execute a process. Execute process of, what is the user creation process? This create user execution task, it will trigger. Just showing you one more thing. See, this is the create user. The task execution is create user, and this is the create user. So whenever you add the role over here for a particular system, and if the user is not present in that corresponding system, it will create the user first using this create user task, which is already standard thing, and then update the role to the system.
Okay. So first is create user, then modify user.
Then modify user.
Two
And
triggers.
so 2 triggers is required. It will automatically done. How it will automatically done? We will see that in our role privileges. When we will see the property of the role privileges section, we will see that.
Okay. Sorry guys, I kind of hijacked it for 10-15 minutes. So you can proceed with your agenda.
Yeah. Okay. Now you are clear about the separate thing of form, process and job, right? Any questions on the separate thing? I'm not integrating those things at all. Separate thing. If you have any kind of question, please let me know. Is it fine now?
Yeah.
Yes, Samrat.
Okay. So now the question is that you have created this user like this, right? Now yesterday during our discussion, there was a question that how we can create 1,000 users at a time, right? That is most of the cases business requirement is there. 1,000 user creation or 100 users creation, 100 roles assignment. Most of the cases we have that requirement, right? So what we can do? What we can do? So first, can anyone tell me the just on a high level architecture thing, on a high level?
We can have a process which will take the input from any file or I mean any notepad or Excel file, and that we can input in a process, and through a job we'll just call that process to load the data.
Yes. So you already have gone through that one. Now, Basava, I'm asking just your high level thought.
Yeah, we'll create a flat files.
Flat files, okay.
The data from the flat files and we'll store in some temporary database.
That is fine.
We'll
Now,
write we will push those data from the temporary tables to the real IDM database.
Yes. So now how I will upload that flat file? Where I will upload the flat file?
Upload the flat file into some blank repository, blank folder. You will place that file.
Yes, blank folder. Now
From ASCII.
means I am talking about that how blank folder means, suppose you have the access of the server folder,
Yeah.
right? So you can upload manually. You are going and uploading that server folder, but all of you team, normally the server folder, as a security person, we don't have access of the server folder, right? Only basis persons have access of that server folder.
Correct.
Okay. Now all of you, like in your team, maybe 4 or 5 members are there. How you will send the that file? How you will create the file in that server folder?
Through FTP.
No, I am not going into that through FTP and those things. I have only Eclipse.
Okay, you will use that from ASCII, right?
From ASCII.
Yeah.
That is correct. From ASCII. Okay, I will show that. I will upload the file.
Yeah, we'll upload.
The first thing is I have a file in my system. I created and the file is present in my system. So I have to upload the file so that it will go to the server location. It will send the file into the server location, and then from that server location the file will be uploaded, and from there the file will be coming into our IDM system. That is our main motto, right?
IDM have some predefined placeholders to keep the files?
Predefined means during the installation.
Okay.
During the installation, you might have the path or the place, whether this is the server location place.
Okay.
You might have, or you might create the server location space.
Okay.
Okay. So the first question or the first things that it will come into my mind, that where I will upload. So the easiest way or the easiest thing to upload a file, I can create a form and upload the file.
Yes.
Correct? I can create a form and upload the file. Now I will create a form. Custom form I can create, or maybe I can new form folder I can create. Okay, form folder, and I am creating the form folder as a mass load folder. As a mass load folder, I am creating this, and what I want to do, I am now creating one new form. Okay, and I am giving the name as mass user creation form. Okay. So in order to create this mass user creation, what the things I can do? Okay, access level, I am as of now I am giving the access to everybody, and in the attributes level I have to select one entity type and I have to select one attribute.
Yeah.
Correct. Now what entity type and what attribute I will select? I can select MX persons entity type. So I don't want that MX persons is for persons user creations one by one, or MX role is for roles user creation, right?
Yeah.
So what I can do, I can use a separate entry type for this mass activity. Correct? I can use a separate entry type. Now go back to your entry type section. Normally we can use this MX async request activity. Normally we can take, but if you want that, okay, for mass load I will create a separate entry type. You can create a separate entry type, that is J underscore mass load action. I create a separate entry type. It will be searchable entry type. Otherwise, you won't be getting this here in the drop down list.
Okay.
It should be a searchable entry type. Now, go back to the here context entry type. No, display name. It will be the display name of mass load action. Okay, this is the display name. This is the identity. I am not selecting this as an identity entry type. I am selecting only searchable entry type. Now, event process, I don't putting any event process. Relationship, it might be related to some other things, but as of now, I am not putting any kind of relationship over here. You can put this relationship, allow multiple superior. So it can be allow multiple superior of this entry type. So maybe role as a superior entry type, privilege as a superior entry type, this as a superior entry type of this particular entry type. These are can be a superior of this one.
Okay.
I will come to this superior part later on when we will discuss our roles and privileges sections. You will be more clear about the superiority. Okay. Now attribute as of now, this is the attribute. So I am not putting anything mandatory or anything this thing. Even I don't need the display name, but I need some attribute, something that I need
For upload.
for upload. As of now, that thing is not present. Okay, as of now, that thing is not present. So I created the entry type. And you have this entry type used to hold identity. Is this entry type to hold identity? No. This at least one attribute must be defined as a list of this entry type. So this is created. Go to the attribute section. Some of the things are already selected. MX member, MX person, because these persons, these things, I have given the relationship of this thing, those things are automatically come up. Member, I give MX person as a superior of Z mass load actions entry type. That is why if come to the attribute section, MX person must be a member of this attribute. Are you getting my point? This part, are you getting my point, what I am trying to say?
Yes, Sonat.
No, I'm not clear. Can you explain again?
Okay. So suppose you have a club, right?
Yeah.
And you are not owner of the club.
Okay.
Okay. You go to that club.
Okay.
So you must be, your identity must be the member of that club.
Correct. Registration has to be done.
Registrations, everything you must be, you are a member of that club. So
Okay.
when this is you, just example, this is you.
Okay.
And MX person is superior. So club is the superior position.
Okay.
So when club is the superior position, whatever the attribute of this must be the member of this one.
Correct.
Now you are,
Yeah, now it's
can
familiar.
you
Got it.
familiar?
Yeah.
Another things I will show, I am just showing you MX. Let's open the MX person and relationship. See here, it is not superior to anyone, right? No other attribute is superior to MX person. That is why if you come to the reference section, the roles and privileges, and another opening the roles. Here you can see MX person is the superior.
Okay.
Correct? When you come to the attribute section, you will see MX member, MX person. That part is clear?
Yeah.
So, role is a member of person.
Correct.
Correct? But if you go to person level, here you will see role is a reference of, means person. In this area, here you will see person is a member, that role is a member of this person.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, role is a reference of the person. Here, role is the reference of this person. That part is, you are getting confused, or like?
And the reference part is a little bit confusing.
Similar, just think about your club and you. When you you relate yourself from the club, you will see, okay, I am as a member of that club. Your attributes is a part of the club. You cannot refer that club is the superior area than you.
Yes.
Right. But when come to the club, that club will refer you. The club will refer you that, okay, this is one of my club member. But don't confuse about the naming convention, that member, this member and club member is something different. MX member, MX role, MX person. That means this role is this attribute is this. Whenever you will get that MX member, that means this entity type is the superior of that another entity type. Because MX persons is now is the top one on the upper node, the other things will be give you the reference of it. The other attribute will be give you the reference of the top attribute.
Okay.
Means still, if you have confusion, let me know. This part has to be clear. Otherwise, during the role creations on assignment of role to privilege, these things are getting confused. These things usually getting confused.
So, General, do we take the standard attributes as the superior attributes?
The role is always superior to all.
Or person?
Or person. Sorry. Person is always superior to all.
Okay.
So every attribute will be the reference attribute. Every other attribute of other thing will be the reference attribute.
See, whatever you telling club example, for club we are references. We are like members of the club.
We are like a members of the club.
Okay. For the club we are references.
Yes.
Okay.
Because club is the superior position.
Got it.
Similarly, the person is the superior position.
Yeah, for everyone
Will be referred value.
references.
References, referred value.
Okay.
Here, the role is the here since the person is the referred one, privilege is the person privilege is the superior one.
For the role, person, privilege, group, and role are the superiors.
Are the superiors.
Okay.
Roles can be superior to himself. Himself means like one role can be superior to the another role.
Got it.
This part, why this part is important? Because whenever you will add a role to a user, which reference value, we cannot give mx underscore role. This is entity type. This is not a reference value. This is not attribute. And mx role is an entity type. So when you will add a role to an user, the using mx person,
it will reference from the entry type of mx role.
It will reference to the entry type of a mx role entry type. But what will be your referred value? That is mx ref mx role. That is the attribute mx ref mx role. Not you just add mx underscore role. That is entry type. During the user creation, do you put any entry type? No, right?
Yeah.
We always put the attribute.
Correct.
Right? So what attribute I will put if I add any role to an user? That attribute will be mx ref mx role. But if I add any privilege to an user, what attribute I will select?
mx ref
MX?
mx privilege.
No, mx member mx privilege. Privilege is always superior to the role. I always need to use mx member mx privilege. This mx ref mx privilege will not be used 99% cases.
Okay. Okay. We have to go to that particular entry type and we have to check it, and based on that we have to add.
Yes. Okay. Any now this relationship of roles, entry type, different entry types are fine, or still you have doubt? You must be having doubt. You must be having some confusion. I am not saying that you don't have any confusion. You must be having some confusion. But when we will do the exercise, assigning a role to an user, assigning a privilege to an user, assigning a privilege to a role, when we will be doing those exercise, those things, that attribute, which attribute, whether I will use the mx member mx privilege or mx ref mx privilege or mx member mx role, those things you will it will be like clear it to you.
Okay.
Okay. So what I did, I created one entry type, mass load actions entry type. Now I created this entry type. Just click on refresh the page, go to the manage tab, go to the drop down. Here you will see the mass load actions entry type is created. Now under this you have nothing, because I have not created any form so far using this mass load. So now I can add this get mass load action entry type. Now it by default it's come like this, because go to the attribute section. This is the value which only coming in the mandatory field. That is why by default that is coming. By default this is coming. Okay. But I don't need this one. I need something that will allow me to upload a file. You got my point?
Yeah.
So in order to do that thing, I need to create one attribute.
Okay.
Okay, I have to create one attribute. So let me go to the attribute section. I am creating one attribute. The attribute name is something z underscore. What is the entity type name? I have given g underscore
Mass load.
mass load, right? So g underscore mass load underscore mx person. For user creations, I am giving this attribute name like this.
Okay.
Storage area, what will be the my storage? It will be the by default whatever is there. Presentation layer, what will be the presentation layer? By display name, I will give the display name as upload user creation file. Upload user creation file. To be more specific, .csv file, because the file has to be the CSV file.
Okay.
Now what will be the file type? The file type, definitely it will be the file type. Using this file type, I can have an upload option.
Okay.
I can have an upload option. If you just single line, it will give you the single line option. But I don't want a single line. I need an upload option, right?
Yeah.
Now, what the things that I have to do? I have to link that entry type which I have created to our new file, right?
Mass load action. Yeah.
Mass load action. Otherwise, I cannot add this over here.
Correct.
So let me insert a section, and I can give the section name later on. And I don't need this one, so I delete this row. Let's save it, close it, and again open it. Otherwise, that attribute I cannot reflect it over here. So what is the attribute name I have created? Z underscore mass load underscore mx person. I make this field as a mandatory field. Now save it. Now once you save, and in the sections you will write like something user creation mass load. Okay. Now go back to here, refresh, manage tab, on the drop down, mass load action, create option. Oh, sorry. Still you cannot see it over here. Why? Because I have not selected this form as a create new identity form.
New entry. Okay.
New entry form. I have to select this as a new entry. I have given the access all. Presentation layer, I have to give the presentation layer. Here I can add as a submit button. Here I can add as a modify button. Here I can add as a conversion form, submitted, user creation is in process. I write this. Display, I can write mass user creation form. Okay, I write like this, and I gave it as a form new entry creation.
Yeah.
Now go back to here, cancel it, refresh the page, go to the manage tab, go to here, person section, create. Now you saw the mass load folder, a folder name which I have created as a mass load folder. Under the folder, you will see this one. It needs some time to see the mass load user creation form. The mass load user creation form, it needs some time to reflect. So once I choose these things, you will see everything needs some time to reflect. Here you will see the file upload option over here.
Okay.
Once I click on file, the file you can upload it from your local drive.
Okay.
To upload it over here, click on upload and click on the submit button. So now what I have to do, I have to create a file, right? I have to create a file, a CSV file from in your system, and then upload the file over here and submit. So after submit, will it be doing anything? What do you think?
I don't think it won't do anything.
In the result handling, I think we haven't given anything.
Yes, in the result handling, we have not given anything. That is why it will not do any kind of action as of now.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing what I can do means what are the things I have to do?
You have to create a job and pass the job in result.
Okay, pass the job, that is fine. Now what is the next process that I have to do? The next process is basically have what I told earlier. I told that this file from where I have uploaded from my local system.
Yeah.
So from the local system, that file must be present in the server location, right?
Correct.
So I have to create a process which store the file into the server location. Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
Which will store the file into the server location. We can ask for the first time, we can ask the basis team the server location, and there we can create a folder where all the mass load process will be stored.
Okay.
Okay. So after uploading the file in the UI, our next process, what will be our next process? Our next process will be to save the file in the server location, so that when we will do the actual activity, like actual user creation, the file can be read from the server location, because the system, IBM system, cannot read the file from your local location. It always read from the server location.
Okay.
Since this is test server, it might be that server location and my local drive might be the same. But in real-time scenario, definitely server location and what are the systems where I am getting all these things will be different, definitely.
Okay.
Okay, so I have to create a path, or I have to create a process where whatever the file I will upload over here, that will be uploading over there in the server location.
You want me to give some path for server?
I have to give the path.
No, you want me to create?
I will create, actually we will create it tomorrow.
Okay.
Next classes, so that there is another couple of things that I need to discuss before creating that path.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just telling you the process. It's already 9:30, so so we will do it in the next classes. So as of now, the creations of the form to upload the file is clear, right?
Yeah.
How we are creating an entity type, how we have created an attribute, and how the attributes are uploading the file, the property of the attribute, everything is clear, right?
Yeah.
So if any question, just let me know. Then we'll do the next day. We'll have the activity. Okay, then see you tomorrow in the next class.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Amber.
Yeah, Samrat.